with an introduction like that, I might ask for a raise. You understand? Well, first of all, I'm thrilled to be here today. And I'm thrilled to be here today because I'm with children. With children. And that's what life is about. So many years ago, a man stopped me when I was teaching at Dorado Beach. Carolina knows. She was there at Dorado Beach with one of my students. And this man was on his way to the golf course. And he watched me and he said, "Son, you belong with children." Little did I know that impact would influence everything I've done in my life. That man was none other than Thence Lombardi, the greatest football coach in the history of the NFL league. Me, I grew up in a diverse neighborhood and embraced it. I loved the variety of people and know it was a heck of a lot more interesting than the ivy snow neighborhoods in the other side of town. Listen to what I just said. I grew up with kids that went out and played and had fun. Somehow, with the help of my grandmother, who said the following to me when I came home from school. She never asked how I did in school because she knew I didn't do too well. But Grandma said to me, "Sonny, venekwa, venekwa." Give Grandma a big hug. Were you a good boy at school, and did you try to do all the things for the teachers? Yes, Grandma. Go out and play. That's how my grandmother greeted me. And that gave me the courage to try everything. My grandmother did not say to me, "Sonny, did you get an A in school today?" She told me she loved me first. But she also told me that the effort that people put into things makes you a winner. Maybe not by the scoreboard, but from the effort that you gave. Then as life began to roll along, I began to play a little tennis. In my junior year of high school, I played football. I was a quarterback. And somehow I made the tennis team at college. Little did I know that would impact me for the rest of my life. When I graduated college, I flunked the written tests to become a Navy fighter pilot. We Italians, we don't read. I passed the physical, but I said, someday I will fly. So instead, I volunteered to be a paratrooper. Spent almost 3 years, came out as the first lieutenant. And why did I volunteer to be a paratrooper? Because we volunteered to be with the best of the best. We pushed each other. We didn't have to say, why do I have to do this? Why do I have to do that? We did it because we believed in ourselves that we were the best of the world. But I never forgot my dream of being a fighter pilot. Along the way, a lot of things happened. When I got out of the service, my daddy said to me, "Dad, or son, I want you to become a famous lawyer." So I like to surf. So I said to my dad, "Could I go to the University of Miami?" He said, "Yes, son." This is what happened in law school. The dean said to me, "Mr. Bollettieri, you have to dress up." I was in shorts because I was teaching tennis for $3 an hour. Second time he said, "Mr. Bollettieri, a lawyer doesn't come to work like that." Well, kids, I can't tell you what I said to him the last time he said that. But I lasted 3 or 4 months in law school. And I said, I will become a coach of coaches. This is what my father said to me. "Son, I will support you in all the decisions you make in life, but you are going to be responsible." He gave me the courage to go out and do something. And that's what I did. Along the way, I got some other jobs, working at a country club and working at big resorts. And then something happened. I was in a country club in Lake Bluff, Illinois. And the lady, who evidently was a prominent lady at the club, came up to me and said, "Mr. Bollettieri, your staff cannot eat with you." So I said, "Lady, can you read?" And she walked away. This was the same lady who complained about the tennis courts being dry all the time. Of course, she never got off. So you know what I did, kids? I turned the sprinkler on. And she came up to me, she said, "Do you know who I am?" I said, "Lady, I don't care who you are. I only lasted 1 season. But you know what I did? I called up that man who said, 'Nick, you belong with children.'" Here it comes. It's coming back again. So Thence Lombardi got me my first summer job in Beaver Dam, Wisconsin. The town had 13,999 beavers. And here comes Nick Bollettieri, and I'm going to coach the girls' team. And then I started the first camp. I started with the great basketball coach, Al McGuire and Nick Bollettieri. That gave me an idea that if I put children together at the same place that had a goal to be the best that they can become, that gave me the idea to start the first live-in tennis academy of the world. And it started on Longboat Key at the Colony Beach Hotel. One little girl came for a lesson, and after the lesson I said, "Is your daddy picking you up?" "Oh no, I'm going home with you." Holy mackerel. Then a couple of weeks later, a little Volkswagen came up and the little guy got out, and his father was smaller than him, and he hit a forehand bigger than life. He changed the power game. Who was that? Jimmy Arias. He moved in my house. Pretty soon I had 10 kids in the house. 10. I can't tell you what happened in the house, but 10 kids were in there. But pretty soon, one of my first students was Chip McCarthy. And his mother had a club, and she also had an apartment building on the beach, and the kids were staying there. And then I bought a club. And Chip McCarthy knows all about it. On the other side of town, and a motel. All of you. There was supposed to be 2 kids in a room. I had 8. Feet sticking out the window. The pool, we put cement in the pool. That was the library. Eating, we broke down 2 walls, made it the kitchen, and the kids ate in shifts. But I had a sergeant who was a former Marine, and he had those kids, baby, walk, shine their shoes. I should have been locked up. Fortunately, we made it. And then my friend, Mr. Lewis Marks and Dan Lufkin, lent me $2 million, and I bought the front of this property, 40 acres of tomatoes, and turned it into the first live-in tennis academy of the world. Now it's the IMG Academy. We've gone from 40 acres of tomatoes to 500 acres of a vegetable farm. And it's all about children. Then some wonderful things happened. I was at the French Open in 1987. And we're sitting on a bench with Arthur Ashe. And Arthur Ashe looked at me, he said, "Nick, what are we going to do about the hundreds of thousands of boys and girls who never get to hit a ball?" I said, "Arthur, don't worry about it." We started the Ashe Bollettieri program in Newark, New Jersey, one of the toughest cities in the country. And Bob Davis, who's still with me, ran the program for 13 years. As we walked into the park, gun shells on the grass, police guarding us, Arthur Ashe looked over his shoulder. He said, "Nick, are we coming back?" "Yes, Arthur." Why did he say it? We're better off not going into that park and giving children false hope. We went into it and ran the program for 13 years. I'm blessed. I have 5 older children. 4 great-grandchildren, and 2 younger sons. They're both from Ethiopia. One is going to be 10, and one is going to be 8. They came from different families. I want all of you to know that when I went to Ethiopia with my wife, and we looked at the orphanage, clean as a whistle, and saw 35 to 40 young children all wanting to have a home. And this little boy came out, and he looked, and he saw Cindy. And Cindy had sent him pictures. And he ran over and said, "Mommy." We then went to see where he was born. And his mother was a proud lady. His home was a dirt floor under a covering, 8 by 10, with all the belongings in the same little place. What do we expect from our 2 children and from all of my children? To give other children a chance to develop their minds and body. That's it. So, again, here it comes, Thence Lombardi's remark. Fortunately, because of my staff and dedication and facilities that IMG built for me, we had 10 number 1s in the world. Many other boys and girls went to college. But what is important is that we give children a foundation to build their character and be able to survive in life, which is far more important than hitting a ball or throwing a football. It works together. And we try to build their character. And it's just as easy to say no as it is to say yes. But your character comes from a foundation that you know who you are. And it's just as easy to say no as it is to say yes. And along the way, working with some of my champions, I could remember, if I close my eyes, a story. I took this young boy who just signed a multi-million-dollar contract with Nike to Washington, D.C. to play in one of his first real major pro tournaments. Wow. A night match. My student came out, he was all duded up, man, his hair put back in his Nike clothes. And this veteran looked down the other side of the court and he said, "Son, I'm going to show you what the tour is all about." He beat my student 1-2. As I walked away from the coach's box, I asked his brother and manager, where was my boy? He was across the street in a wooded area. As I walked up to this student, he was breaking his rackets. I said, "Son, what's the matter?" "I can't do it. I don't have it." "Is there a watch on that wrist?" "No, Nick." "Don't you ever use the words 'I can't.' Do you hear me?" "Yes, Nick." Next week, we went to Woodstock, Vermont. He beat Tim Mayotte, 6th in the world. And John McEnroe said, "This kid's have a future." Who was he? Andre Agassi. Went on to be number 1, a Davis Cupper. What is he doing today? Raising money to give children an education. So it all boils down to children. Giving children an opportunity to achieve. And all we ask of you children is to go out with a mindset, I can and will do it. And you give your heart and soul into that. And to develop an education. Because education is the foundation of the world, man. You don't pay bills with excuses. So when I spoke at West Point, the general called me in this room. He said, "Lieutenant, you spoke our language today." And I said, "What do you mean, sir?" "You said, playing the best you can play, get in the corner with losers, you've accepted second place. We soldiers play for our lives. We play to win." So that attitude, whether or not you're playing the best person in the world, I will win. That'll help you win. You may not win, but that attitude, you went into battle to win. 2, you don't pay bills by excuses. Did you hear that? Oh, I got to play the #1 seed. I don't care who you're playing. You go out there and you knock them down, baby. You knock them down. And by the way, 41 years later, Nick Bollettieri gave a clinic in Pensacola to the Blue Angels. And all of a sudden they said, Nick, come on, you're going up. I'm going up where? To fly. I flew with the F-18s. And remember, I'm not going to tell you what I said when we went straight up. But it was the first time an Italian sat down for 2 hours and never said a word. And also, boys and girls, don't be ashamed to say that you're nervous. I remember my first jump, and this little buck private said, Lieutenant, you jumping? Yes, sir. You scared? I said, I got a diaper on. I told them I was afraid, man. Nothing wrong with that. Don't be ashamed. And last, failure is part of learning. If you don't fail, you can't get better. And the reason why some people don't fail, they do things they know they're going to be a success in. When I built this academy, everybody said, you can't do it. I can't do it. When somebody tells Nick I can't do it, that's exactly when I'm going to do it. How does Nick want to be remembered? I want to be remembered for giving children opportunities. And I want to thank IMG for letting me do what I've done all my life, is to work with children. God bless you, everybody.